Oh, what a day! What a lovely day!
Welcome to Flat Earth Debate Uncut and After Show. I'm your host Nathan Oakley, and if you are new to this channel, or you've not done so already, how dare you, then be sure to subscribe and hit the bell notification icon to keep up to date with the Flat Earth Debate. If you'd like to join the community debate, then go to nathanoakley.com and check out the Flat Earth Debate Forum, which you should definitely all join. If you'd like to support the channel, there is a super chat that runs alongside each of these shows while they premiere. There's also a PayPal, Patreon and crypto link in the info box below the video. Speaking of Patreon, I'm going to do a quick shout out to all of you who do support me on Patreon. So a massive shout out to Adrian Quintana, Alistair Main, Billy Highvolt, Burn Fat Till My Stomach is as Flat as the Earth, Chow Yun Cat, Dank, David Rakia Gifford, David Wayne Foster, Edwin Johnson, Felix Hung, Fireball X, Jeronism, Kirsten Smith, Life is Short, Matt, Naibai, Qatar Craig, Reinhardt, Rene, Sally Ballis, Sam Hine, Skeptic936, Texas Mike, theflatearthchannel.com, Tina Baker, and Tom Hawkins. Big appreciation to all of you for supporting me on Patreon. Now, we are joined by a few people in both Discord and G+, I believe, so I think I'll open the mics on those and you can enjoy the dulcet tones of whoever is in there while I set up for the first live show.
How do we go forward? Where do we go forward? What do we do? If we do anything, what do we do next?
Well, just basically chat with the people that you hang out with. Like, I chat about it in bars sometimes when I go. I don't go to the bars regularly, but sometimes when I go there, I'll slowly, like, if I find somebody that's critical thinking a little bit, I might drop a few things about it. That kind of thing. Like, I don't care. I don't see these people all the time. And even if I do, I don't know.
But for me personally, I think that the only way we can move forward is to, well, we've got to get into the education system in some way, because if we can get one school with 150 kids just to hear the word flat earth, that is way more effective than fighting on YouTube with other people. It's just the perfect breeding ground for kids, and to say to them, look, you don't have to think the earth's flat, but you do have to answer the question, how do you have gas pressure next to a vacuum without some kind of containment? You can't do it. They need to ask that question. If they don't know that question's an issue, then I can see why I can see why the schools are such a, it's just a breeding ground, isn't it? You can do an awful lot of,
it's a breeding ground for, like, indoctrinating you. So
yeah,
just program you with. So they've had a firm grip on this for a while now. So it's gonna be hard, no?
Yeah.
Change.
And I don't even agree, or I don't think that flat Earth as a topic should be taught in schools, which is what all the ballers are saying. I think that it should be way more diverse. It should be the case that kids have said, look, this is what we think. These are the opposing views. These are the opposing arguments. Come to your own conclusion. Not drum it into their head that we live on a heliocentric model, because they should be given the choice.
It's not even the shape of the Earth. It's other things. It's like evolution and all this other stuff.
Evolution is something else that would be caught by that legislation, because we didn't evolve from fucking monkeys. And the ballers criticised me for saying that, because they said that's not the argument. Do you know what? I don't give a fuck whether it's the argument or not. That is generally the point. They continuously misrepresent our arguments, like the edge. If we say evolution, we evolved from monkeys, and they get offended because that's not the argument, we should fucking rub it in the face the way they rub it in our face when they say, "Where's the edge?" And it's like, fuck off, you dickhead. That's not what we say.
Yeah.
No, it's like most things, it's projection. They're projecting the fact that they utilise a reified edge of a sphere in the form of a horizon, and therefore that's a weak argument for them. So they project it onto us. Say, where's your edge? What edge? We're not calculating any edge. That's a total straw man. We don't put that out there. Flat Earth Society do.
Also, what did it mean when they say edge as well? Because like, is it the edge that all the water falls off, or is it an edge where there is a ring of ice? Who knows? But I think I think there's probably, I don't know. I wish we had money. I wish we could have some money to actually investigate this shit. But then again, would we ever get believed? I mean, if Nathan went down there and said it was definitely flat, would people accept it any more or any less than if it was NASA saying it were a sphere? Because a lot of people do or don't like Nathan and will probably side with Nathan based on their prejudice for him or against him. But how would you prove it unless it was just to yourself?
Yep, it's very difficult to convince somebody that they've been lied to.
What I find most interesting is how people will defend the model that they've been taught because they pride themselves on their level of education. And basically, it's protection of themselves. They don't want to be seen to possibly have been wrong or deceived. That's really what the issue is.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're just willing to be deceived.
Yeah.
Yeah. No critical thought whatsoever. I reckon if we could get into the schools and just point out to the kids that no science teacher can address how we have gas pressure next to a vacuum without some kind of container or membrane or whatever to separate the two. If we were just to say to the kids that one question, that one question would be enough for them to start talking.
Yeah, but they do teach it in the schools. The only difference is that later on somehow put in their mind that gravity holds it in.
No, they don't teach that. They don't teach that you can have gas pressure next to a container in school.
Because in the education, they do teach you can't have gas pressure without a container, no? But somehow, fundamentally, everybody just has it with gravity in mind, that it holds it in. Understand?
Yeah. So then we should tell them what gravity is not a force according to Einstein, and then watch them work it out.
Yeah, we sort of just got to plant the seeds.
Yeah. Seed planting is important.
See that JLB's started to make YouTube videos again, or re-releasing some of his old ones at least.
I didn't know he'd gone.
Yes, I've noticed.
His most recent one was to plug his podcast about war being a hoax. I went and listened to it. Terrible audio, but the content was very good, as is always the case with JLB. Not that the audio is terrible, but the content's always very good in my opinion.
Never heard of JLB.
John LeBon.
I'll go look it up.
I didn't know he'd stopped making videos. I'm not a fan of his, to be honest. I know Nathan loves him because he lives near you somewhere, doesn't he, Nathan?
No, he's Australian.
Oh, is he?
Mm-hmm.
You're his friend, though, right?
No.
I got the feeling you were his friend.
No. I've spoken to him a few times.
So was Owen happy with his camera?
I don't know.
He must have been. How could he not? He's been bumming. He's been wanting a thingy for the longest of times. I was surprised that he didn't thank Ranty promptly.
Yeah, let's not talk about it.
So did he go on the tour, or did he just do the Amsterdam thing?
He just did the Amsterdam thing.
Hey, that's a bummer. I would have done it.
So did you guys have fun all hanging out together?
Yeah,
It's all right.
Oh, Nathan, Karen B complained. Did you speak to Karen B at any point?
No, what did she complain about?
I rang her before to ask her something off topic, and I just said, "Did you catch up with Nathan at the convention?" She says, "No, the little bastard. He didn't speak to me." And I says, "Did you speak to him?" And she went, "No." And I said, "Well, there you go. Then it's not his fault, is it? It's your fault too." And And she said, well, I didn't even know he was there. I was like, get out of it. You must have seen him.
No, to be fair, our paths just didn't cross. It wasn't anything personal. I did intend to go up to her and say hello and shake her hand, and I was only there for a day. I was there for a very limited amount of time. I arrived in the morning, I left in the evening, and I filmed most of the presentations, including Karen's, which I thought was the best presentation. I enjoyed Karen's more than anybody's. I thought it was excellent. So at the very least, I wanted to shake her hand and say, great presentation, I really enjoyed it. I'm going to show it to my wife. But instead of that, our paths didn't cross. You're making a shitload of noise, by the way, Flatzoid.
Sound was shit though, Nathan.
Yeah, Karen's got a good way of presenting things.
Yeah, my only slight criticism, I don't know if it's like I doubt it's a self-confidence issue, because she doesn't strike me as somebody that's not self-confident, but she sort of made a few disclaimers about, I can't remember how she phrased it, something like, oh, you might see this as new age. And I was like, why would you put that in? So I thought, well, maybe it is. And then she presented the information, and none of those thoughts crossed my mind. And I was like, I thought to myself, that's an unnecessary disclaimer. You know, don't sell yourself short. That was the only criticism. In other words, it, to my mind, it was better than even she thought it was, because she was giving these disclaimers that just weren't necessary, in my view.
Karen's like, I think she's one of our best people.
I agree, she's ace.
She gets a lot of shit from a lot of people for basically the same reason that Patricia got it. But I don't get why people will be so critical of people that are genuinely decent people. It's like, Karen might have shit problems like we all have. Nathan's got his problems, I've got mine. Doesn't mean that they should be getting all the shit that they get. Karen she's a shit magnet. She gets so much shit, it's unreal.
Yeah. But on the other hand, I'm sure she can handle herself.
Yeah.
No, but you see that people are painting everybody in the wrong light. So it just comes to the wrong people, and now, unfortunately, then flat earthers see sort of like, oh, sure, type of thing, without even actually looking into it themselves. And they just accept it.
I think there's a lot of people that seem to be trying to infiltrate flat earth, trying to make themselves look like flat earthers, just to cause shit, to cause division. I thought it was a bit conspiratorial when I first heard that mentioned, but I look at certain people and I look at them and I think, what is your motive for doing this shit? I don't see any logical or reasonable explanation for why you would do this. Weird.
I can just hear QE ringing in my ears. To divine people's motivation is the acme of foolishness.
It's true, though. I mean, I've had some experience. I mean, for example, Antonio is a good example of why would you be so divisive and cause so much shit. It's like, why? What's in it for you? Anything? Or is it just some kind of psychological issue that you've got that other people don't realize that you've got?
Oh, I thought you were talking about people like Flat Earth Reset.
No, I'm talking about people that present themselves as flat earthers but just seem to just do nothing but cause trouble.
Yeah, Flat Earth Reset.
Oh, does he class himself as a flat earther?
Yeah.
I thought he was just a troll.
Well, he is, but...
Has Mr. Cheswick deleted his channel, isn't it? Didn't he say he was deleting his channel?
I don't know, I unsubscribed from him. I just got tired of his nonsense and then unsubscribed, and then saw some dude who looked like, a kind of greaser meet you in, I forget where it was now. Where was it?
Liverpool.
Was it in Liverpool? And it only occurred to me when I spoke to you after the fact, I was like, who's that dude? And he was like, that was Cheswick. I was like, all right, fair enough. And you explained what he'd said to you, or the crap he'd got thereafter, that he felt just wasn't warranted just for going to check you out. But apparently he got a load of grief for it. And suddenly, I don't know if he saw the light of the trolls that he is. I don't get it. But, like I say, I unsubscribed and kind of lost interest in his stuff.
It's a shame he did that. Soundly is a wanker, he wears a wanker's hat. I thought that was epic.
Yeah. Well, that's why I subscribed to him in the first place, but then it just ended descending into just seemingly pouring hate out with every other video, but to each their own, I suppose. But it just wasn't for me, so I unsubscribed, like I say. So I don't know if he's deleted his channel or what.
And I'm in the middle of playing Command & Conquer, so I can't even check. I've got all my tanks have just rumbled through and just ripped savage through everything. Excellent.
I found my Yuri's Revenge the other day. I should actually put it on my computer again.
You found your what, Revenge?
Yeah, Yuri's Revenge.
Oh, Yuri's Revenge, did you?
Yeah, it was brilliant.
get far more joy out of actually watching speedrunners do games than actually playing games. The last time I played a video game was literally just to benchmark the computer after I'd overclocked everything. Because obviously, if you run synthetic tests, it doesn't really tell you whether or not you're going to overload whatever you're going to overload or cause it to crash. So a game is quite useful for that. So I bought several games purely for the purpose of not playing them, because I didn't. Just benchmarking the computer, not benchmarking, pushing the computer, I suppose, testing it.
I like some speedrunner videos too. Speedrunners now are like superstars. They're like pretty big. Just guys playing video games, and now they're like stars. They have like their own. Like twice a year, they have this show on Twitch where they just get together and do a fundraising for, like, I don't know, stuff like cancer and all that stuff.
Yeah, there's a bit more to it than that. So the cancer fund that Games Done Quick it's their own charity. It's their own registered charity. And, they pay the executives hundreds of thousands of dollars out of that fund. So when they say on Games Done Quick, all money goes to this XYZ charity fund, that's true, but it's their registered charity for which they pay out for the event and to pay the executives. So it's a great big money-making machine. Yes, some money goes to charity, but it's an absolutely tiny percentage, like is the case with most charities.
Yeah. I'm suspicious of it for sure, because I think this whole cancer thing is pretty suspicious. Yeah, I'm just going to leave it at that.
It's an overt form of deception in the guise of charity. It's madness.
Sure. But just not to sour it too much, but yeah, the people who are actually doing it, the people who are actually, completing games as quick as possible. When I was a kid and did play video games, my Sega Game Gear, I remember trying to beat Sonic as quickly as possible, hold down the right button and try and time the bounces at the right time so you can complete the level as quick as possible. And people have taken that to a whole new level, working out little glitches and things. I find it fascinating. However, if you actually put Mario in front of me, I'd be bored within about 3 minutes.
At a stage, I was big into PUBG. See, there's a lot of tournaments over there in America with that.
All these game names are familiar to me, right? Because, again, back when I was buying computer equipment, which I'm not now, it's all working, thank God. I would look at the reviews, and they'd be reviewing stuff based on how well it did in a particular game. So they'd give you the benchmarks for the computer based on the frame rates of a game. So you'd be like, I can remember thinking, all right, it does this much better in PUBG, and this. Not that it's in any way relevant to me. It's just a comparison, right? It's just how well it does with a piece of software versus another. The fact that it's a game is irrelevant. It's just how well can it perform given these varying different types of software. I mean, obviously, you're doing the same thing when you're comparing the PC specs to how well it does Blender renders and things like that. I'm not going to do any Blender renders, but it gives you an idea for comparison's sake on what will do what compared to other things at various prices. So it's like you say, oh, you used to be into PUBG. Yeah, PUBG, yeah, I know that name. I could tell you how many frame rates you get on a GTX 750 Ti on PUBG, but I couldn't tell you what the game was. You know what I mean? Oh, who's playing music? Gonna get me copyright strikes. Whoever's playing music, please stop.
It was Anthony.
Bloody hell, Anthony.
I'm more of a Radeon guy. My graphics card is Radeon 5700.
Was I being abused then?
Yeah, you were playing music.
Oh, sorry. Was that going? Oh shit! Sorry. Cheswick's. I was just looking on Cheswick's channel. He's got rid of all his videos, and he's put a final Sarab video up saying, "Flat Earth, thank you and goodbye to everybody involved in this bullshit. The bullshit that you created, you fucking idiot."
Yeah, what he's realised is it's people. It seems like the first go-to in nature for people that we experience here is projection. You've made your own little corner of flat Earth a stinking pile of shit. So then you go, I'm off. The whole thing's bullshit. No, you've surrounded your little corner of the internet with shit, and now you want to project that out onto the people who you will inevitably blame for you disappearing and then coming back in a month's time, which is what they always do. The trolls, that is.
Mm.
But yeah, back to graphics cards. The problem is Radeons run hotter and therefore louder. And they're not very efficient either. They normally use more power. But they're cheaper for an equivalent that you'd get from Nvidia. So they're better value, less efficient, more noisy. That's my experience.
I remember when the GeForce FX 500 came out, everyone was like going crazy over it. You struggled to get stock over here.
Years ago.
And that's when I started getting the Radeons.
Right. Nothing wrong with them. Just a competing brand, right?
Yeah.
Hi,
I'm going to
guys.
build myself a new PC again sometime.
Hello, whoever that was. I heard someone say hi, guys.
Earthshape Investigator, I
Yeah,
think.
that was
Yeah,
me.
Hello.
I said
Oh,
good
Highlander?
morning and somebody else say hi.
Hey.
Yeah, good morning. Good afternoon, depending on where you may be.
How are you getting on with Red Alert?
What's Red Alert? You have to explain what
I
that
think
is.
he meant Command and Conquer to Anthony.
Oh, right.
Oh, is he not playing Red Alert?
Command and Conquer.
Oh, that's a subtitle of one of the games? Gotcha.
Yeah.
Oh, right. Sorry, I'm going to step out of this conversation.
Red Alert was one of them.
Actually,
Yeah.
I'm just watching Keswick's final Sarah video. It's 8 minutes left, so give me a couple of minutes, I'll be back.
Okay.
It's just when people say they're playing Command and Conquer, I just automatically assume it's Red Alert.
Is it actually any good?
I heard the series was really good until EA took over and things changed. EA bought the company or the developers,
I don't know.
and then things changed a little bit. Yeah.
I'm very, very difficult to impress when it comes to video games. I mean, on my shelf of the games I used to benchmark, I've got Grand Theft Auto 5. What a pile of boring crap. And then I've got a racing game that was very realistic. Racing game, racing in cars. And then I got Tomb Raider. And what else did I get? I got something else, I forget what. Mortal Kombat and a couple of others. The only one I actually played for any significant length of time, as in, would say I actually played it, was Mortal Kombat with my wife for about 10 minutes. And then we both got bored.
Play something with some online features like Dark Souls. You'd like that.
Okay. Why?
Maybe. It's like more old school too, so it's like
I mean, don't get me wrong, I did, again, to test the computer out. So one of the games was like a first-person shooter. I've forgotten the name of it. It's not Call of Duty, another one. I've forgotten what it's called. It'll come to me. But anyway, you could connect it online and then you could play with other people that were actual people. And that was very useful as well to test the computer.
yeah.
Seemed to be that was the hardest you could push a computer, or at least in my experience, was with those types of games where they've got quite complex maps and quite a number of players that are online all simultaneously. You've got to have a reasonably good computer to actually do that, as far as I could tell, because it was pretty demanding. Demanding on the computer to go in and repeatedly die.
So you got like what's your graphics card again?
Got a 980.
Did you say
I gotta upgrade
1050?
mine.
Pardon? Say that again, Highlander? Highlander?
It was 0.
0, sorry?
Yeah, that was.
I have lag. I'm sorry. I cannot speak.
Oh, he's got lag, so he's in a bad area of reception.
Okay. At the time I bought the graphics card, it was the best, if you ignore quadros and things of that nature, it was the best on the available. You couldn't get a better graphics card. And then very quickly after the Titan came out, and then the one that Anthony's got, the 980 Ti, came out. But now, you can spend $2,000 on a modern graphics card, RTX 2080 Ti, I think it's called. It's a couple of grand. You're like, wow. When the graphics card I came out, it was maybe, I think at the most for a really swish one that was like super overclocked from the manufacturer, it was like $800. I think the one I got was about $600, £600. But that, I thought, well, that's a lot of money to spend on a graphics card, but hopefully it'll last a few years. And then you go, wow, $2,000, the cost of my entire PC on a graphics card these days. That's how good your modern top of the range graphics card is for a domestic computer. Like, what a joke. Who's spending this? Who's spending $2,000 on a graphics card to play games?
You'll be surprised. Some people do it as a living.
Yeah, I mean, I suppose if you're a Twitch streamer and your revenue is gaming on a AAA title, you're going to want good quality equipment, I suppose. But for your average Joe that's not streaming, I just can't. Yeah, I suppose there's people with money to burn and plenty of people out there with plenty of cash. Not everyone's poor. Got to take myself out of this mindset. Plenty of people must have $2,000 to buy a graphics card just because I haven't.
I'll rather buy a
Well,
nice camera.
If you want to play 2K and high resolution, you gotta have a nice card. Otherwise, I'm not gonna do it.
Sure. No, that was one of the main reasons I knew at some stage I'd get a 4K monitor. And that was one of the reasons why I picked that particular graphics card, because it was the first one that they said would run 4K gaming. Now, admittedly, I would imagine that in modern gaming it probably wouldn't hold up that well, but it certainly fares perfectly well. If it's classed as being capable of gaming at 4K, it's not going to struggle to have a whole bunch of software running at 4K that's not demanding high frame rates. And that's precisely the case. It runs a bit harder than it did now I've got a 4K monitor, but it's still absolutely silent and does all the things I want it to, even though it's underutilized, maybe 30%, 40%, 50% at the absolute most that it's being utilized when I'm running the show. But that's great. That's what you want. You want it to be... I don't want to hear the damn thing spinning up. Some guy the other day was like, why did you go for air cooling over water? I'm like, because you can get a passive system to be silent, like literally silent, no noise at all. Whereas you can't do that with a water-cooled system. It's always going to have a pump running and a couple of fans running at minimum. Even if you have got them really quiet, normally your fans are going to be running at 500 RPM, and to me, that's audible. You can hear it 3 feet away from the computer. It's right next to me. I can hear that. I can hear my fans at 500 when they're ramping up, even though it's passive. Now, I want them off. I want silence.
While you were on the topic of games, I was talking to, I think his name was Danny, yesterday, and he said, what do you think about having a game show which pits flat earthers against globe believers?
Can be a good idea.
Well, yeah, but the Globers would always lose if it was an actual game show where the questions were set out with incorrect and correct answers.
I was going to say, how would they get their correct answer be awarded?
Yeah, obviously, it was just an idea, but I mean, I thought it was quite a good idea. It was quite funny, like you guys just said.
Let's run it out, right? Let's apply it real world, right? First question is, what is the distance to the sun? 93 million miles. Wrong. I don't know. What is it then? No one fucking knows.
No, you're not going to... Whose answer is going to be correct?
That's my question. Whose answer will be correct?
I think as a subject matter, as a game show, I don't think it would necessarily need to be exactly correct or whatever. It would just be something for a bit of fun. If you see what I mean.
So in other words, that could be, in terms of the game show, 93 million miles could be deemed as correct answer because the game show's deemed it so.
Why don't we just apply Common Core and we'll get it about right? So we'll just say 3,000 and we'll say, yeah, that's okay too.
I mean, I thought it was a good idea. Especially it would be good publicity for the likes of the debates that we have. You know, it would reach out to a lot more people that don't know about the debates.
You know, it has actually
maybe
been
get
done.
a lot more people talking about it.
It's been done to a fashion. So I think it was in the early 70s, they had the dude who at the time was in charge of Flat Earth Society, and he went on a game show. You know, it was him versus 2 other contestants. You know, they've all got a podium in front of them and a game show host. And they asked him questions, and he, you know, told a few jokes about the flat Earth like they do. And, you know, it wasn't a game show about flat Earth, but it certainly was a game show with a flat Earth contestant that was talking specifically about that subject matter. You can Google it. Just Google something like Flat Earth Game Show, and you'll find it on YouTube.
Yeah, I mean, you could have like the main prize as a trip to the ISS.
Go to the ISS. It's in a fake region. What they show you from the cameras on the set, what do you mean? They can take you to the set where they film it?
I said that because I thought it would make you laugh, Nathan.
It doesn't. It's a massive lie. So my kid gets subject to that kind of nonsense when she's watching kids' TV shows on YouTube Kids. So it annoys me because it's a lie.
Noticed on Netflix yesterday that they have like an alien sci-fi section now, and it's all space propaganda and aliens, and I'm like, that's interesting. Like, I normally don't watch Netflix or TV or anything like that, so now when I check it out, I notice it all over the place.
I don't know how to read between the lines with you, if I'm honest, Highlander, because on the one hand, I think, well, okay, you're a globe head and nothing against that.
Yeah.
But to you, you see this as comedic, but you're on the other side of the argument. So when it comes to something serious like space being fake, you just see it as a laugh.
Well, I mean, I just said about the game show and that, and, you know, to be honest, I come on here because I like to listen to what people believe and why they believe it. Yeah, I'm not here to try and change your mind otherwise. Yeah, I'm more interested in why you believe what you believe. Yeah, and what you actually believe. Yeah, that interests me. Yeah, same with people that believe in religions. No matter what religion it is, I'm interested in why you believe it. You know, the reasons behind it.
Not a belief. So you're automatically positioning this that you come in here, you presumably think you're just right. You haven't got a belief in globe Earth, according to you, right? You know it's a globe, right?
I mean, I don't presume I'm right. Like, one of the guys asked me a question the other day about being right and wrong, and I said to him, well, actually, I'm more often wrong than I am right. Yeah, but that's how we learn, is it not?
No, not when there's examples that we put up on the show daily. So, I mean, I made a joke about this by putting something that a super chatter suggested I stuck on a t-shirt in regards to, you know, saying it's not a lighthouse, it's a slightly looming non-standard refraction high in a holographic projection of a lighthouse from behind a reified edge of an Earth curve, utilised with an R value to beg the question in a hijacking of perspective Earth curve calculator to make a lighthouse that you see not actually there. Well, that's your side of the argument in its hilarity, because it's absurd.
I'm sorry.
But you're
that
saying...
That would be a big t-shirt.
Yeah, it is. But I'm just saying...
That would be a great teacher, yeah.
I'm not going to do it. But my point is that my position is there's a lighthouse, but you're asking me about, or saying that you come here to see what our beliefs are. Well, what belief in what?
Yeah.
I see a lighthouse. There's no belief required at all. But on your side of this argument, there's a massive amount of belief and faith and presupposition and reification in just looking at a lighthouse. But yet you're saying, oh, I'm interested in what you believe. There's no belief in looking at a lighthouse from our side of this argument. There's plenty of belief on your side when you look at the same lighthouse. You think it's a hologram.
That is true. Well, Nathan, you gotta join sometime when you're done with the show. I don't know, create a different name, then join. You will see how they start talking.
Oh, I don't mind all that. I mean, what people say after the fact in the Discord server is that's for Betty to concern herself with. It's her server. So, she's gracious enough to let me use it, but that's not what I want to get out of Discord. It's my public gateway. That's all it is to me. No offense to Betty. She does an exceptional job of keeping the server nice and clean and tidy and moderated exceptionally well. From the other servers I've seen, it's really, really good. So, shout out to Betty. But people who aren't interested in engaging in a public way, I'm not interested in engaging with them.
Good
I
morning.
see. All right. Yeah, that's fair enough.
Without moaning or sounding like a martyr, over the course of this show, the show's been attacked on so many different levels in so many different ways by so many different people that just want rid of it. And it's been an uphill struggle to keep the show alive. Now, when there's lulls in the show and people are like, oh, the show's dying, it's like you're joking. It's fighting strong because it's had to claw through shit and dirt and people trying to stop it from being in existence at all. At one point, all of my channels were shut down just over Christmas. They were all under multiple copyright strikes that were bogus. And it took a great deal of effort, including court action, to keep the channel alive. Well, that to me is a wonderful, wonderful achievement to keep a public gateway available for this subject to be discussed daily. Now that, to me, is a fantastic thing. Now, if people choose that, no, they just want to talk about it where it's not recorded, it's not public record, so sod off then. You don't appreciate the amount of effort that's gone into keeping this platform the way it is. And those who say, oh, you don't go anywhere else, it's like, yeah, I haven't, crawled on my belly through bloody glass keeping this channel alive just to sod off because you think you want to challenge me on your rhetoric. It's like, you've got a public gateway that you can come in because I've fought in tooth and nail to have it. But yet you think that I should bugger off somewhere else. No, you're more than welcome to come in through the public gateway. There it is. There's the link. It's in the info box. Join if you want to. If you don't, I don't care.
Your audience... Sorry.
I was just going to... That was my only conclusion, was to say if you don't want to, then more power to you. Don't watch if you don't want to. Don't join in if you don't want to. Don't comment if you don't want to. But if you do want to, then wonderful. That's great participation. But as for me going outside of that and, like you say, joining the Discord server after the show's ended, it's like, well, no, that's my bit. That's the bit I offer. I'm not offering anything beyond that. Sorry.
And I have noticed that your audience has been growing lately. So...
Yeah, it's been on a constant upward trajectory, if I could say the word, in terms of stats. It cracks me up occasionally. People come in and start quoting the numbers on the shows. They're like, only 1,000 views in whatever many hours. And I'm like, man, you don't know the half of it. 6 months ago on the second channel, I would get less than 100 views on the after shows. You say it now and people are like, really? So all of them get over 1,000 views, even on the second smaller channel. Subscribe today if you're not. Oh, you're already... This is on the second channel, isn't it? But yeah, the channel this is going out on.
Anybody knows Nathan Oakley. Even you can ask anybody.
Yeah, maybe in our little tiny corner of the internet, I'm reasonably well known, but... See you later, hun. 5 minutes and we'll go live.
Good morning. Can you hear me?
Yeah, we hear you.
Okay.
Hey,
Just wanted to
Kevin.
make sure. Good morning. Yeah, I was looking for farm equipment and I found Nathan Oakley. He's everywhere.
Farm equipment? You were looking for farm... Is that a joke?
It's a joke. It's a joke.
Because I was filming farm equipment once on a live stream.
Oh, man, that's funny.
My folks had a farm, right? So, for a number of years I was, going back and forth to my parents' farm. And farm equipment's just cool. It's massive. It's industrial, right? It's got a purpose. I like farm equipment. I like watching it do its stuff. Combine harvesters are an amazing thing. what
Yes, they are.
sue me for liking, complicated equipment.
Yeah, my grandchildren and I watch all the YouTube tractor videos and they love it.
Yeah, it's just engines to me. It's stuff with an engine. I like anything with an engine. It doesn't matter if it's a combine harvester or a LaFerrari. It's all cool to me.
A Ferrari harvester. I can't wait.
A Lamborghini tractor.
The Lamborghini were a tractor manufacturer.
Yep. That's what I say. Awesome.
Yeah.
Hey, son, take your Porsche out to the cornfield and do a little harvest, will you?
Lamborghini also, before they did the Urus, I think it was called an LM001 or an LM002, but it's more commonly known as the Rambo Lambo. It's a V12 four-wheel drive Lamborghini. Absolutely wicked.
You get some hectic tractors out there.
Say again?
I say you get some monster tractors out there.
Yeah. This is a very British thing. And the States, they're probably like, it's like monster trucks and things. Here it's tractor.
Yeah, well, I drove a Volvo tractor that I could do wheel spins straight. Could do 11s with it.
So is there a big storm hitting England right now?
No, it's always raining.
Yeah, it's just generally like that.
Oh, okay, because something about a hurricane or something.
Yeah, about 9 months of the year, it's generally dreary, would be the accurate term. And then for about 3 months of the year, it's like nice, sunny. And yeah, we've had that. That's gone now.
Summer was on a Wednesday this year, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was. It was on a Wednesday for a day. It almost spilled into Thursday, didn't it?
We're still waiting for our rains here.
Still waiting for the rain.
Yeah, we haven't really had rain this year.
Have some of ours.
So it sounds like good weather to bunk in and play video games.
Yeah. You can get a lot done in the weather, though, because it's cool, so you don't get over hot when you're doing stuff, which is helpful. If you want to build a house or somewhere, you can build a house quite easy in England because the weather's always like, you've got to work to keep warm, really.
Yeah, your plaster doesn't dry immediately. Get it nice and smooth.
Just don't help washing a car, though.
It's not really a bad climate. It's not too hot. It's not too cold. It's all right. I find it all right anyway.
I think I love the way we live. I think it's just a great country. As much as people run it down, that's part of the culture, right?
Moaning.
Yeah. We like to moan. It's good to moan.
To moan. Yeah, the ballers are moaning because they don't come on your shows. I picked up towards the last part that I came into this morning. So they have to go on Discord, right? So you're giving them a reason to moan.
Right.
Oh, what a day! What a lovely day!
Welcome to Flat Earth Debate Live. I'm your host Nathan Oakley, and if you are new to this channel, or you've not done so already, then be sure to subscribe and hit the bell notification icon to keep up to date with the Flat Earth Debate. If you'd like to support this channel, there is a super chat that runs alongside each of these shows while they are live. There's also a PayPal, Patreon and crypto link in the info box below the video. Most importantly, if you'd like to join the discussion, simply mute the page you are currently watching, then click the link in the info box below this video to join the panel and express your views on the nature of Earth. If you do join, please don't swear. If you do, you'll be ejected, and if you are, please don't try to rejoin the stream using sock accounts. You'll be warmly welcome back on the next stream. Please also share the show on social media. Sharing the show obviously increases the live audience, but this in turn increases the chances of a more diverse panel, so please share the show on Facebook and Twitter. And one last time, if you're new to the channel or you've not done so already, then be sure to subscribe and hit the bell notification icon to keep up to date with the Flat Earth Debate. Now we are joined by Righteous Force, 10th Man, Sleeping Warrior, Flatzoid and Arwin in G+. How you all doing?
Good afternoon.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Hello. Also got a whole bunch of people in Discord. Very good to have you all.
Any sign of Earth curvature, guys?
No, not a chance.
Any signs of axial rotation?
No, Earth is definitely stationary. There would
No.
be too many consequences to even name. if the Earth were in some kind of motion, and it isn't.
There's no
Any
Coriolis
evidence-
deviation. No, none.
Not just Coriolis, the ether effects. There's just too much. Too much.
Any evidence of a molten iron core? I can't remember exactly how Nathan says it.
At the centre of a presupposed spherical Earth.
Any evidence of that?
No. No.
I heard Channel Q recently saying that she'd seen evidence for all these things, and it's fallen on deaf ears. But I'd like to know what Channel Q's seen, because I'd love to be back on the ball. So if you're out there, Channel Q, let's hear it.
And then she woke up.
Any evidence of where are we at?
Distance to the sun.
Yeah. Anyone know how far away the sun is?
Just over there.
Nope.
It's just behind these clouds here.
Yeah, it's just over there. Yeah.
Oh, I saw crepuscular rays just yesterday.
That's lovely.
Guys are lying. The sun's here in South Africa. I can see it now.
Hey, I saw clouds behind the sun.
Were they parallel?
You know,
The
this
crepuscular rays were absolutely not parallel.
I'm
They were
pretty sure they are.
And the clouds were moving, so they actually just almost visibly changed their orientation.
Nah, it's just
It
like
seemed
railway tracks.
extremely holographic in nature to me.
Pretty much parallel. If you're a fundy
No.
globe head.
Oh. Well, if you think in R-based terms, then yeah, you could presuppose that it is parallel, but it just because of R-based optics, it is just looks like it's not parallel, right?
Correct. I mean, it's just that was one of Dr. Zach, part of his presentation over in Amsterdam, when he was explaining about pushing out the distance because of that problem. You know, you need to make them basically parallel in the model.
Right.
Anyway,
So crepuscular rays are not parallel, but you can think of them as if they were.
Yeah. And just for anyone that's curious about the crepuscular rays argument, if you're 50-50, whether or not it should be like that on a sphere or not, when you're looking out of the perspective of the observer, vertical lines are always vertical. They don't crepuscularize, if that's the right word. So in other words, if the rays were coming in vertical and parallel, they would always be vertical. They don't angle.
any evidence that you can have gas pressure without the necessary antecedent of a container to press upon for all the fundamentalist religious zealots who believe the sky is a vacuum known as outer space?
Only a moron would think you can have gas pressure next to a vacuum without some kind of containment.
Got rumblings from
But gravity
doesn't exist.
I've heard people arguing that gravity is the container.
Yeah, let's have that then. Any scientific evidence of gravity? Any scientific evidence of that gravity?
No.
Scientific evidence of
no
what?
evidence whatsoever.
Gravity.
SX0's been waiting to get that in for the whole housekeeping. Scientific evidence of what? I miss Travis.
I miss Travis.
Any evidence of a heliocentric zealot using their basic and common senses?
Yeah, plenty of evidence.
All over the place.
Well, they can until they actually deal with their global religion, and then it goes all over the place.
Yeah, then they start losing sleep, getting depression. It's all very sad. Any evidence of the R value?
No, only on a 2 dimensions, not on a 3.
Well, there is evidence in math.
Hold on.
So if you presuppose that math is reality, then I guess so.
Math is reality.
Somebody said that they will repeat the measurement every year. The ones that Aristophanes, or who's the one that did the measurement?
Depends which way you're looking at it. If you want to take the measuring of the presupposition, then it's Aristophanes. Whereas if you want to take the presupposition itself, who assumed it was a sphere, it's Aristarchus.
Oh, so Eratosthenes based his maths on Aristarchus' assumption that it were a sphere?
It doesn't say that anywhere. I can't find that explicitly stated. But yes, he assumed it's a sphere. So who predates him that first presupposed it's a sphere? Well, that's Aristarchus.
That's what I've been always wondering. Where did Eratosthenes get his presupposition that it were a sphere from? Because how did he know? I mean, we can't even prove that Eratosthenes even existed.
Well,
but
same
if we
goes,
assume that it exists,
same goes for Aristarchus. But yes, Aristarchus, as far as their narrative is concerned, and how did Kosho phrase it? It was the shadow that gave it away.
Kosho, cosine. He's an idiot. They're all idiots. Honest to God, I don't know why the conversation needs to go any further than the gas pressure next to a vacuum without some kind of membrane.
It doesn't.
Why does it even need to go any further than that?
It doesn't.
For me, it doesn't.
That's the end of their argument. That is. You said earlier, if that was while we were in the pre-show, we were talking about what arguments would be great to put in front of school children, and you said, oh well, that would get them talking if they had the question presented: how is it possible to have gas pressure without some sort of membrane when you've got a vacuum of the sky? If they had that question, then I'm sure they'd ponder, well, no, that is the end of their religion. It's not something to ponder. That's the be-all and end-all of this argument. I mean, I think it's a close race with Coriolis effect.
That's
but
why.
Go on.
Is that Ranty on his new
Down to
PC?
the gravity thing because they invoke.
Is it me or is he breaking up like a bitch?
He's got a bit of lag. He's got a bit of lag, but if we let him go with a few gaps, hopefully he'll get to the end of his sentence. They invoke what? Sorry, Essex?
I think he's on Ranty's connection.
Yeah, he is. Hey, Chocolate.
Good morning, guys.
Hey, Chocolate.
How's everybody?
Did anyone happen to catch Elon Musk's spaceship? That thing was hilarious looking. Doesn't it just look like something out of the 50s? Like the 50s space movies? It looks ridiculous.
I haven't seen that. I don't keep
Nice
up with
and
mainstream.
shiny.
What would Elon Musk's garbage be titled in this instance?
Oh, what? It's this is launch. He's launching. They were basically just. It was like an unveiling or something of his little bullshit money making stainless steel rocket. It's supposed to. I don't know what it's for. I don't know what it's under again on YouTube. But just search Elon Musk spaceship or whatever. And it should come up because it's only recent.
Maybe someone in the chat will let us know. It's normally called like Falcon Heavy or something of that nature, but hopefully someone in the chat will let us know.
They call it a Starship or something.
Starship?
Yeah, that's it. Starship, that's the one.
Would it be a Starship Enterprise?
Basically.
Well, because that's literally the last thing it will ever be visiting. So yeah, let's call it a Starship.
Yeah, exactly. And it's if you look at the thing, it is so ridiculous looking. And you've got all these idiots in the crowd. He's up there saying an enormous amount of stupidities, and everyone's just clapping. Oh yeah, Elon. Do you
know what? I'm surprised the real Red's rhetoric is actually somewhere in that crowd, and he's there cheering everybody on with the sign that says "Applause now." Like they're doing the game shows.
You reckon it's all compared? So there's a dude, right? Listen, ladies and gentlemen, when the giant penis takes off, big claps, okay?
Yeah, exactly. Looks like a giant cock. Yeah, you're right.
Hey, Kosho, were your ears burning? I'll take that as a yes.
Hey, Cosine, how are you getting on there?
It might have been me sharing the YouTube link on JetPanda. I just did that.
I've taken them all off mute. Oh, bees. Hello, if you've just joined us. As always, very chatty lot.
Did Simon Dan ever get back to you yet?
Get back to me? What, you mean tweet me again?
Yeah.
Not that I know of, but I don't actually keep an eye on my Twitter. I only coincidentally saw it when I was sharing the show with Twitter. I just saw it underneath, like when you press share in YouTube, it puts your Twitter feed up. Mine's just full of endless links to the show, and then you've got the actual tweet that you're going to send there and then, and underneath it, behind that, you've got whatever your news feed is for the current duration. And when I went in to share it, there was just Simon Dan's post right behind it, and I was like, what's that? Closed out the tweet that I was about to send and went, oh right, hello. And you know the rest. So if he has, I haven't seen it. I don't know is the honest answer, because I don't keep up with Twitter. Sorry if you're following me and you expect me to do anything beyond share the show, which is what I use Twitter for.
Nah, I've never used Twitter. Something I've just never got hold of. But I share on Facebook for you though.
Yeah, I've got Facebook too, but the same thing applies. You know, my newsfeed is just daily links to the show. I don't really pay it much attention. I think it's highly toxic, if I'm honest. When I have paid attention to Facebook in years gone by, I've come away from it every time going, that was a complete waste of time. How toxic.
Yeah, I'm kind of weaning myself off of the pages as well. It's always the same trolls over and over, saying the same shit.
You mentioned in the pre-show, Anthony, about, oh, he's gone. I was going to say, he's talking about Nathan Thompson, but to my knowledge, he's particularly prevalent on Facebook as opposed to on YouTube. So who's just super chatted me? Bear with me a second. Shout out to David Rakia Gifford. Shameless plug. I'm almost to 50 subs, not 50k. Lol. Rakia life. Subscribe today to David Rakia Gifford. Or Gafford. I keep getting your name wrong. I'm so sorry. Dave Rakia Gafford. Thank you very much for the super chat.
So Owen, have you used your camera yet?
Yeah, of course. During the conference.
Got anything to show us yet?
I have on my show. And on the debates, when was it? Yesterday or 2 days ago? I don't remember.
A couple of days ago, you showed us pictures of the van all stickered up.
Right.
Oh, sorry, I've been so busy lately.
That's okay. But yeah, I'm not going out too much because I'm still sick. So. And the weather isn't exactly great over here.
But I assume you've got intentions of going out. Getting getting some glorious pictures of whatever you get pictures of.
Indeed.
Bird.
Maybe
What?
birds.
Birds. I like your intro, Arwin, on your show.
Right.
Nice.
Chris,
Those are not
Berry.
my videos, by the way.
That's Chris
I kept
Berry,
them
isn't
off
it?
YouTube.
Otherwise known as Red Rhetoric.
Right. But who knows? Maybe I can get some good shots of my own of birds. There are some interesting birds going around, so that would be
What?
birds.
But this isn't you, and you're not an ornithologist. I don't get it. Why do you want pictures of birds now? Because your show's called Early Bird.
And maybe I like birds.
I like
Maybe
birds
he's
too.
just-
Nothing against
Maybe
them.
he's just flapping because it's dead air right now.
Yeah, and it's like a dead zone here for 5 minutes. So, no, but yeah, you know, there's all kinds of things I can do with the camera, and I am going to do with the camera.
Bird landing.
So if Arwin's channel turns into an ornithology channel, then you know why.
Nah, you don't yet, but I'll yeah. I got a hint. My ex loves birds, but nah, just kidding.
So your ex-bird loves birds.
Very good. Well,
Anyway.
you've seen Dirk's latest video with the drone with the sun going away rather than going over the so-called curve.
Right, the lensing out of existence effect.
Yeah, I mean,
Goes into warp speed all of a sudden.
yeah, it's interesting how it just disappears when you take that picture from a drone at a higher altitude. Be nice to
And
get a.
The interesting thing about that is I asked around Discord for evidence of sunset from a high altitude, and nobody got back to me yet.
It's a bit grainy when he goes for the close-up because it's on the digital zoom, I suppose. But as the camera technology gets better, I think that's going to really show well.
Yeah, it's pixelation.
Well, I thought sunsets were caused because the Earth, the sun goes underneath the horizon. So how is it fading out without even touching the horizon?
Oh, by the way, did anyone see David Weiss's interview with Mark Sargent about his Alex Jones appearance?
I did.
The other day?
I did. Very
It's
amusing.
pretty clever.
I was like, I liked. They were talking about the advert. It's quite early on in the show, and Dave's kind of a little bit more slow in his speech and a little bit more subdued, and he's like, it's like probably the worst advert I've ever seen, but you know, he didn't sugarcoat it at all. He's detailing a phone call he's had earlier after he's seen the advert with Mark. It's just comical the way Dave didn't sugarcoat it in the slightest. It's like it's awful, because for the last week or 2 weeks I've been going, oh, Mark gets a load of grief. He got it when he talked to the astronaut. He got it when he did this. He gets so much grief, and this advert's that's my attitude. Dave's like, yeah, it's awful.
Right.
They went through at one stage, which, you know, we were talking earlier about people like Flat Earth Reset, and Dave's. I don't know why you'd give him this much credit as an anti good guy on the Flat Earth side, but he also mentioned Flat Earth asshole. He's like asking Mark, who do you think does the most damage in those terms in this community of people that. That's why I phrased it like that to Anthony. Of people that say they are actually flat earthers, but basically just go around trolling everybody, like Cheswick. That was an open question to the panel, by the way.
Right. Well, look, you can approach this whole thing the Mark Sargent way, and Patricia Steer way as well, by the way. Both proposed it. Or in some other way, but yeah, it's like this. If somebody's going to be trolling people with flat earth in a bad way, that still, I don't know, some people may actually then approach them like, what is this? I have to do something about it, and then suddenly bump into the regular flat earthers and figure out that it was a troll. So it could still have some beneficial effect. Even it's like no matter what they do, no matter how bad they try to make us look, no matter what they do, everything they do just helps us, really. That's the Mark Sargent way.
Yeah, his attitude is there is no such thing as bad publicity.
Right. Indeed. But yeah, we do have to fix a lot, though. They make a mess, and we do have to kind of clean it up a bit. Doing a good job at it, by the way, Nathan.
Doing a good job at what?
One baller at a time.
Do you guys think Flat Earth Arsehole was a troll? Really? Is that a yes?
Sorry, I didn't catch
said,
that.
Really?
Oh, what makes you think he was a troll?
Who are we talking about?
Did you hear that, or did you not catch that?
Yeah, I
Said,
catched
what
it.
makes
He
you
caught
think
it.
he
He
was a
said,
troll?
who's a troll?
Yeah.
Oh, flat Earth asshole. Whatever his name is, Jake.
Well, that's why I questioned it, because when he said that, I mean, I know he can be a bit of a, that's his kind of his shtick, but I don't know. I didn't see him as being highly disruptive, but I tuned out and lost interest in him at a certain stage. So I don't know if he went on to be a really trolly character, because I didn't follow him.
Is he back on the flat Earth?
No, not really. He sort of gave up on that because purely because of people like Mark Sargent pushing models and shit that had no standing, and that's what he got sick of. And then people were calling him a shill, and because he was going, he was questioning other flat earthers, especially when it came to the AE model that they push all the time, and they sell their little fucking all the shit that they sell. Oh, sorry for swearing. But yeah, that
doesn't make
Right.
sense though, to live like truth seeking for just because somebody is like trying have a model. Like, I don't care if somebody of you guys have a model. I don't, 'cause I cannot know.
Well, the day that
I totally
people,
care.
the very day that people would quit flat Earth because another flat earther had a different opinion about something, yeah, that's all over.
Well, hold on.
Who said he quit flat Earth? He just quit making videos about it. Doesn't mean he quit it. Stop
Oh,
labeling.
really?
Oh, I see. So you're saying he just stopped making videos on the subject matter in a similar way Patricia Steer's still a flat earther, but she doesn't make videos anymore.
Yeah,
Okay.
exactly. Nothing wrong with that, in my opinion.
Right. And he went from being flat earth asshole to Jake the asshole.
Yeah, exactly. I really like the way his videos are set out and his content, and just even his character. I know he can be a little bit cheesy at times and just carry on and whatever, but he also has other videos. He does get a little bit conspiratorial at times, and I sort of tune out when he does those sort of things. But at other times he seems to have good arguments and good content.
Fair enough.
Yeah, I do the same with Iro Landucci. And in Spanish, he does good. He gives good information, but when he starts going into conspiracies, like deep into it, I tune out.
Yeah, it's mainly just the unsubstantiated things he comes up with, and it's just a lot of it. I think it's just purely for views. But I mean, he may believe a lot of the stuff. I don't want to put words in his mouth, but
that's why. I'm more for the science though, like the questions that are being asked here, right? Like, I'm more for that. I mean,
yes,
conspiracies and everything
but
there.
people
Okay,
are
but
different,
no,
though,
I'm
right?
interested on the science and the science side of the what we can prove and what cannot be proven.
Yeah, but that's in that way people are different, right? Like not everybody has the same appetite for the same thing. So some
Right.
people, like Silent just said, some people want the science aspect of it. Where's the evidence, the proof? They want to come at it from that perspective. Others want the cute models and to philosophize about what could be, and some people like that too. So some people will like something like Mark Sargent's Clues. I mean, I watched Mark Sargent's Clues. It doesn't mean I believe everything he believes. It's just, it was one of the first things that I saw in Flat Earth when I started watching videos, and that's cool. I accepted it for what it was, and then I move on to the more scientific aspects of it. But some people like Mark Sargent's style or Jake the asshole, because that's how people are different. And if somebody has a model, that's great for them. I don't live on a model. I don't have to accept the model because somebody has one. That's fine. I deal with the reality that I live in. That's where I focus on. But that's just me, I guess. I don't know.
Well, that's the first step, right, Chocolate? Prove things that are being asserted as real, right? And then you can move on to whatever.
Yeah,
Like
but
try to
this is
build a
what I'm saying.
model,
Like
whatever.
some people need something like a Mark Sargent Clues type video series to even start opening their minds about it. So that's why I'll never knock Mark Sargent for doing what he does. He's silly. He calls himself silly, but he also calls himself Flat Earth 101 for people who are just getting into it, just trying to find out about it. I'm not sticking with him to find out the absolute proof that I need to prove that I don't live on a magical spinning water ball in a vacuum. I can move on from that, accept what he gave me. All right, thanks, Mark. That was cool. And then I move on.
Yep.
So he wants to make silly
Surely he
commercials
knows
and
that
stuff.
the
That's
model
great.
he pushes
People are
is
talking
bullshit.
about Flat
That's
Earth.
what
That's
bothers
all
me.
I care about.
You don't know that. You don't know that.
I mean, yeah, I don't know that for a fact, but the likelihood is up there in the 98th percentile, surely.
Who?
Well, 95% of the people, maybe more or
Who you
less,
talking
I don't
about, Mark
know,
Sargent?
lives in a spinning ball.
Look, I'm sure he's making money from it, which is possibly why he still pushes it. Which is it's purely, everyone
what?
seems to have the same sort of reason,
Well-
monetary reasons.
Well,
the
he's
reasons they push
investing
their
his
stuff,
time,
so.
right? He's investing his time. There's
Yeah,
nothing
well-
wrong with making money, though.
Yeah, I think there's something wrong with making money if you're lying to people. That's purely my
Well,
opinion. That's
Who's
where
lying?
I'm sort of.
What if you're
strikes me
being
the wrong
honest?
way.
Being honest and because you may be telling a lie, but you being honest means that you don't know that that's a lie and you believe it to be true.
You totally lost me with that there.
Yeah, being honest doesn't mean that you're telling the truth, though. Being honest means that you're telling what you think to be true, and it may be a lie, but he doesn't know that, right? A lot of people they tell lies, not knowing them, and they're just being honest. They say things that they truly believe to be true.
No, but then it's not a lie. Then it's just incorrect.
Yeah,
Lying
you don't
is
get
about
my point?
knowing that you're incorrect. So
Do you think I'm incorrect?
lying is about knowing. So if you don't know, it's not a lie. You're just incorrect.
Being honest
Yeah,
is
I-
not about knowing, Arwin.
It's
Being
about
honest is
knowing
about
what you're
telling
doing.
the things that you believe
If
to
you're
be true.
ignorant about what you're saying, then how is that a lie? You're just ignorant. If you know it's wrong, then it's a lie.
Not very often I say this, but Arwen's right.
Well, I
You're
guess
just
I didn't
lying.
explain myself
Owen is
correctly.
absolutely right about this. I don't even understand why this is in contention. If you know you're lying, if you know something is false and you're telling people that's a lie. If you believe something
But you-
truly in your heart and you tell somebody else that, you believe it. So it's not lying.
Have you
You're
ever told something that you believe it to be true and then end up being a lie? But you were in honesty,
That's not what-
you thought that
that's
was
not what
that
Arwen's
was
saying.
true.
Arwen's
Not
just
what
saying you
Arwen
need.
The thing with Mark
that's-
Sargent is that he puts
hold
everything
on.
else under scrutiny besides the model. So
Oh.
to me that's a sign that he's dishonest, that he knows it's a lie, because he's the kind of guy that, from all the other things that we see about him, he scrutinizes things and he puts things under under a microscope. You can see that he really likes to test things out. But when it comes to that, something that can be debunked, by anyone, he still pushes it.
What
And
could be
obviously,
debunked?
if it's making him money, then he's gonna continue to do
what
it.
could be debunked?
That to
bro?
me is wrong.
What are
He's-
you talking about that could be debunked?
He's the AE model that he pushes, the flat with the dome on top, and it's just like a disc.
Really? Who's debunked
Yeah, with
that?
with where all the countries are just ridiculously out of proportion and nothing. It's just
Sort of like the globe.
No, he's got his little model. He's got a model, so that alone tells you that the guy's dishonest.
Why? Because he wants to believe in the model. So that means he's lying. If that's how he feels about the shape of the Earth, so that makes him a liar. I don't get it.
That's what I say. Maybe he's honest about that. He truly believed that.
Yeah. So what?
So
does he speak for me? He doesn't speak for me.
No, that's what I say.
I have DIPRH's app in my phone. Does that mean I believe in that model? No. It's just an app. It's just an app.
No, I'm not saying that at all. Like I said, I don't know for a fact. I'm not putting words in his mouth. But what I'm saying here is that the guy is clearly a smart guy. Surely he's watched this show. You can't listen to this show and still push a model. Like to me, that it's willful ignorance. Like for his own benefit.
You're
do you think Globebusters are
two
the
different
same?
subjects? They're
Globebusters are the same, yeah.
No, they're two different
Another
subjects.
bunch of bullshit.
Oh gosh, you guys all done yet? They're two different subjects. One is, what is a liar? Arwen answered that correctly. The other is, Mark Sargent has a model. Okay, that's his model. He can't prove it.
No,
that's
sorry. That's not. We're talking about Dearth. So I've spoken to Mark Sargent about him and his use of his model. I've spoken to him personally about it, and he regards it as a tool. A useful tool to get people to conceptualize a different way of thinking about their world. That's how he described it to me. That might not be verbatim, but that's pretty much what he said. So it's not Mark we're talking about Dearth. Now, Dearth's a mate of mine, so I'm staying very quiet because I agree with Unicorn. But that's, I've pissed Dearth off. I like him. That's the bottom line here, and I'm not afraid to express the reason why I'm staying quiet because this is a conflict for me. There we go. I'm just being honest.
Okay, let me allow me to finish, if I may. It's a lot of Anthony believes in an ice wall. Okay, but he can't prove it. But I don't say Anthony's lying. Anthony's saying that it's a possibility. Now, are these people that we're talking about in the same wavelength as Anthony? It's just a possibility it could match their model, or are they saying I've got scientific evidence that it's my model is what it is? What are they saying?
Are you saying Anthony's still going around punting the ice wall? That bastard! No. How dare he?
Well, all I'm saying is, at least the part of this conversation, I thought Arwen answered correctly when he said what a liar was. And people are now saying, yeah, but they got these weird beliefs and it doesn't match our show, so they're lying. I go, what? No, the guy's just got a model. He can't prove it. He's just saying, this is what I think it is. Okay, let him have it. It's like Chocolate saying, I don't have to buy into that.
Exactly. Yeah.
But he's not lying.
Models.
That's what he believes.
Hold on, 10th man. Go on, Unicorn, because I don't think that's the point you're making here.
No, it's not at all. I'm basically trying to say that models are pseudoscience. So, and like I was trying to say before, these are smart guys. They're the sort of guys that scrutinize things, that put they use a scientific method. I'd like to think that they would, like they should. So if they're pushing these pseudoscientific models, reification fallacy, I just shut out. I don't listen to that crap. I'm like that in that sense.
Oh,
all right, but you're an advanced flat earther. You got to keep in mind that beginner flat earthers need visual demonstrations.
You gotta understand that Mark Sargent and those people are not talking to us.
Yeah, good
Hold
point.
on. Nathan said
Exactly
it best,
the reason
right?
that somebody like Mark Sargent calls himself Flat Earth 101 for people who are just getting into this and want to find out more about it.
Who just said that? Was it SX0 said he's not talking? Mark Sargent's not talking to us. Who said that?
I think I was silent.
It was both me and Silent kind of saying the same thing.
Yeah, you're spot on. Absolutely. And Chocolate, you're correct. Yes, Flat Earth 101. He's not talking to us. We're at the cutting edge. Without sounding arrogant, we are. We're right on the cutting edge of this argument. So to expect Dearth and Mark Sargent to be also on the cutting edge of this argument in that regard, it might not feel like it's the cutting edge if you're in comprehension of the arguments that we have here. But that doesn't mean that it's not the cutting edge. It is. So our expectations might be a little bit high in that regard. Now, don't get me wrong. I would love to sit down with Dearth and say, let's educate you a bit better. But it'd be so patronising and condescending to a guy who knows this subject very, very well that I don't see it as being necessary when what Chocolate has said and what SX has said is absolutely correct. If you're trying, and Mark has actually qualified this to me personally, if you're trying to explain to somebody who only has a conception of a reification that is a globe model, and they cannot in any way, shape or form expand beyond that, then a model is useful to open their mind to that. Now, while I don't agree with it, it's not something I'm going to go along and tell him that he's doing it wrong, because I don't think he is. I think he's, in the same way when I was first looking at this subject through the videos, including Mark Sargent's, I saw those ideas and they permeated with me. Doesn't mean I necessarily took them on board and took them as read or immediately aligned with those ideas, but they certainly permeated with me. And that is something that I wouldn't want to take away from anyone else who is new to this argument. And they are offering exactly that. Now, if you ask them, if you put them on the spot, would they agree with you that a model's a reification fallacy? Probably. I don't know that for a certain. I've never asked the question, but I'd be very surprised if they didn't. And if they went, what's a reification fallacy, and you explained it, I'm pretty certain they'd warm to the idea. They wouldn't fight you on it. Anyway, I'm just going to shout out a couple of super chatters. So, Truth in Your Face says, I have a model. She's asleep at the moment. So thank you very much indeed, Truth in Your Face. Subscribe to Truth in Your Face. He is a YouTuber who does make videos, as I assume, I haven't checked, I was trying to earlier, check David Rakia Gifford, who's apparently, I keep calling you Gifford, Dave Rakia Gafford, who is also looking to gain subscribers. So there we go, subscribe today. Evil hiding creator from us using creation deception. Wake up and share your pain, says David Rakia Gafford. Thank you very much indeed for the super chat. Truth in Your Face and David Rakia Gafford. Really appreciate the support.
So, Nathan, on this subject that we're talking about, I remember when you went on Globebusters and we're talking to Bob about the ring laser gyro. Now, you had to put your foot down there because of the obvious, how can I put it, outcome of what he was saying. And we all know what happened after that. But he wasn't saying that this was a model, was he?
I don't know. I mean, in that regard, that's not my favourite hour to discuss. It's a very uncomfortable subject because that, in my opinion, was something that was necessary, but I absolutely did not want to do. So it was only upon, discussing with John how the scientific method is, a great tool to chop the heads off globers. And, tentatively, although it was, John explained, well, unfortunately, this knife cuts both ways. If you've got bullshitting flat earthers asserting that they've got scientific validity to experiments, you're going to have to call them out on it at some point. It's going to come to that. And I'm like, oh, great. So it's going to be flat earther on flat earther, and it's going to be deemed just like the same as the gossipy arguing about bullshit that you get from people like Flat Earth Reset. It's like, this isn't that. I don't want to step in the ring with people like Bob. That is not my objective. I know where that leads. It doesn't gain me subscribers, support, or anything of that nature. Quite the contrary. But to have any integrity, dignity, however you want to see it, me personally, I had to address that. It's like in this arena where we do have television programs saying that a flat earther has proved the earth spins, that's a pretty big deal in this arena. That's going to be paid attention to, and it needed to be addressed. Now, it didn't go over well, and I knew it wouldn't go over well, but it needed to be done. Do I want to do, without mentioning any names, what's going on at the moment with flat earthers chasing each other in terms of Anthony's legal submission and its validity if it was put before a judge, which it never will be? That to me is moot. It's not important to be discussed, certainly not debated or argued about. It doesn't have any benefit at the end of it. Explaining or undoing the assertion that a non-inertial spinning reference frame underneath a fixed gyro frame does not give you a 15-degree turn an hour of a spinning ball Earth, because if it did, Charlotte, North Carolina to LA would take an hour and a half, because Earth spins underneath, as it's alleged to do in the gyro. That's a point that needed to be made clear to Bob, unfortunately, in this instance, and other flat earthers who watch his show, because I don't want people to be left with the impression that somehow a flatty has proved Earth spins with a formal logical fallacy, which is all it is. A formal logical fallacy that falls apart when you point out that that reference frame example only works if other things deviate in the inertial reference frame. And that would be planes, drones, balls, bullets, anything that's leaving the non-inertial spinning reference frame of a begged question, spinning ball Earth. Well, I'm not interested in anything beyond the argument in that regard. I've got nothing personal against Bob. I actually quite like Bob. I think he's ace. You know, he's got a fire in his belly that I respect in a big way. So do I want to piss him off and have him fighting against me and calling me a grocery delivery boy because he doesn't like what I'm attacking? No. I expected it. I know Bob reasonably well. I knew what the reaction would be. Doesn't change the fact that the information I had to offer needed to be presented. Not something I wanted to do, though. I'd much prefer that my rapid growth that I was experiencing at the time as a YouTuber, that I wish that continued. That drew an immediate halt to that. And I stayed where I was at 14.9 thousand subscribers for about 9 months as a direct consequence. That was the moment my growth stopped. And I knew that would be the case. I did it anyway because the subject matter is extremely important to me. Yeah, I'm a YouTuber first and foremost, I never deny it. Doesn't mean I'm not passionate about the subject I'm talking about. I wouldn't be a good YouTuber. I'm blowing my own trumpet a bit too much here. If I didn't get the passion that I had for the subject we're talking about. And unfortunately, in this regard, when there's someone on your own side that has a rhetoric that is absolutely complementing your opponent's argument, you've got to address that, or at least I feel with integrity that that's something I had to do, as I felt I was in a position to attack the assertion of science. In that regard, it was something that was heavily discussed on the show at the time, relatively new to me in terms of the way it was being argued, and something that I knew from very soon on from finding out how that argument gets constructed or how it deconstructs a bullshit pseudoscience assertion, that would inevitably happen on my own side. And what do we want? That as an individual, I'll ask the audience, what do you want? Do you want us to go forth as solidarity and all hands together and kumbaya flat earthers because solidarity is the most important thing in this community? Or do you want reality? Do you want the truth? Do you want pseudoscience to be prevailing in a flat earth community that has solidarity? Or do you want reality? And I'm only interested in one thing. The solidarity, as much as I want it to grow my YouTube channel, that can be put on the back burner if we've got the same exact problem in flat earth as we're trying to fight against in globe earth. And that's pseudoscience. That's the problem here. You can sum up the problem we have in our indoctrination, our schooling, you name it, it can all be summed up with one word in this arena. Pseudoscience. Yeah, that's what's indoctrinated us. And if we are doing the same and we are punting our nonsense assertions as science, we're no better than they, and we'll have exactly the same problems in 5 generations or 4 generations or in this generation if we all unite in our pseudoscience assertions. I'm not for that. I know it's wrong. And I can't, as a conscientious human being, allow myself to let that information permeate in every single corner of our community with one of the biggest YouTubers in this community. Now, I keep saying it because it's the facts of the matter. In so doing, it's going to cost you friends, it's going to cost you subscribers, it's going to cost you revenue. That's why I'm a YouTuber. I'm here to make money on YouTube. Never denied it. And all of those things I knew would suffer for standing up for what is correct with someone on my own side who is as fiery as I am. You know, shout out to Bob No Doubt. The guy's ace. He's done a lot for this community. He didn't deserve me on his back for an incorrect assertion. Made through ignorance, as Arwin's phrased it earlier, that led to television people taking advantage of him and making out like he's proved Earth spins, when he hasn't. He was just ignorant to scientific validity he didn't have. Now, I didn't want to be the one to point it out. It was me. And would I change anything? Absolutely not. Not a chance. If it cost me more subscribers or the channel entirely, I'd still do the same thing. That's what having integrity is, isn't it? If you understand it. Now, I'm going through this great big long tirade because of what Flatulent Unicorn's saying. Initially, it's me staying silent. Now it's talking about Bob, that's all out in the open. The last thing I want to do here is lose friendship with DITRH. And forget our beliefs in regards to the globe Earth. That's irrelevant. I like him, he's a friend, and I wouldn't want to jeopardise that. So it's an uncomfortable subject to talk about. At the time, I wasn't particularly close with Bob, but I was well acquainted with him. And that, again, I knew on a personal level, that would all disappear as a direct consequence of challenging on scientific validity of the gyroscope that had been heavily invested in. It's had a lot of money, a lot of publicity, a lot of heartbreak when the TV people stabbed them in the back. You know, it's not exactly the best of subject to approach people on, right? You're going to be sensitive about it? Yeah, I knew all that too. It had all been contemplated, and I knew the end result, which I got in spades. But there we go. Flatulent Unicorn's now questioning the same thing. He's saying, why are the people on our own side asserting pseudoscience models? They've got to have nefarious intentions, although that's slightly elaborating on how it was phrased more delicately by Flatulent Unicorn. Chuckle. But yeah, the point is they're punting models, and models are pseudoscience. Can I disagree with Flatulent Unicorn? No. Push comes to shove, I'd agree with him and back him. So, you know, my personal feelings would have to be set aside in that regard, and it's a difficult thing. It leaves a lump in my throat because these people are friends and we all want unity, right? Hashtag same team. Well, that was me pretending to vomit.
That's why I respect you and your show, Nathan, because you pull rank and you put people into check. People on our side, so to speak, you know, and you don't let bullshit slide. Same with Quantum Eraser, he's the same. And people, you know, have his thoughts about him. He's, you know, the way he comes across, but the guy's just no bullshit. And I would much rather say people like Mark Sargent and all the early flat earthers to, if it's ignorance like you're saying and they don't really know, okay, fine, but I would much rather the new flat earthers, like the people that we're trying to, you know, you could say convince or to show the truth to, you know, show them the truth from the start. You don't need to explain to them why a model is a reification fallacy from the get-go. And then you can just get rid of models altogether. And then no one can have models because they're pseudoscience. So then we, you know, if we're going to push science, we're going to push science. Yeah, and that's it.
But you've become an evangelist for this message, and that's good. That's, you know, if I'm the only one with a certain message, I'm the only evangelist for gas pressure without a container, or Quantum Eraser is the only evangelist. He was the original evangelist for that particular message. Well, he's passed that message on to a certain number of people, and that's spread. Now, that message has spread far enough for it to reach Mark Sargent in such a way that he can concisely summarise that argument on the fly during a back and forth with an interviewer and give it in a new spin with a shiny new polish on it. To me, that's the victory, as opposed to saying, you and your bloody models, what are you doing? That's how we get the aggressive people on our own side attacking us. Now, that's why I gave such a long, elaborate, carefully and detailed explanation to what happened between Bob and I, because that's something that was pondered on and considered. Now, I'm not saying that you haven't considered this, Flatulent Unicorn, and it's slightly different to you. Dirth's not your mate. I don't know Mark that well, but I'm very well acquainted with Mark, and he's a good guy. You know, again, I wouldn't want to piss Mark off, and he does get pissed off. He got, I don't want to say upset, but it certainly pushed his buttons when people were poking him about his interview on Good Morning TV or whatever it was here in the UK. So these people are normal human beings with feelings. I'm not saying Mark's oversensitive to anybody who takes the wrong idea from that. He's not. But ultimately speaking, if we're all hands around the fire, unity, kumbaya, it doesn't stop us from actually punting similar bullshit to our opponents. And that's your point here. You don't want them punting models. Now, there's an argument that Chocolate's had that it's just It's just Flat Earth 101, and I've put the same argument as Devil's Advocate for Mark Sargent himself in terms of how he phrased it to me. It's just a teaching tool. It's just a way of explaining it to a newbie who's never conceptualised anything beyond the model reification they have already. Now, give it 6 months, so long as more people are watching this show. Hopefully you'll all share in the audience right now, and get it to people who can permeate that further. And then if it reaches people via way of a third party, the same argument, and Mark and Dearth and whoever punts it in the way we punt it, which obviously we think is the best way because we're all race, right? We're all brilliant. So we want our arguments punted in our way. And eventually they will. If they're good arguments, they'll stick. So, like the gas pressure without a container, Mark argues that, as well as anybody here could argue it. So, you know, just take off your hat to him and say, great. And hopefully, by punting out the winning arguments, the ones that trigger all the people in the chat to say my name like little bitches, those arguments will reach a wider audience and eventually get back to people like Dearth anyway, even if they aren't watching every single show and paying the closest of attention to scrutinise our arguments and why they win and why they are good arguments. They might never have heard the word models are pseudoscience. They just might not have heard that, for all we know. So, you know, don't be too hard on them is all I'm trying to say. You know, don't be a
religious hard.
A monster. Hey, welcome back.
Hey.
I think somebody had a question for you, Anthony. Who is it that had a question for Anthony?
I just had a call to take and it just came at the same time as this, so I had to drop. I'm courteous. I don't leave the microphone open whilst I'm dropped. So
yeah, right, like Ranty did the other day. So
yeah, shout out to Paul Hall. He always does it.
Also for the rumpus out there, don't be cowards. You're supposed to be fighting this.
Hey, Nathan, I think there's a difference between what you did with Bob at Globebusters versus what we're talking about with flat earthers having models that they can't prove. I think there's a big difference there because one was supposedly done in a scientific method and you called it. So I think that was the big difference, and you had to do what you had to do. Whereas if someone wants to say, I think it could be this, and this is my model for it, and then if asked directly, well, is there any proof for this? Is there any scientific proof in any way, shape, or form? And if they say, no, this is just my model, I think that's fine because it's just his opinion. But when you're going to say that your gyro scientifically proved the Earth was moving underneath, well, now you're going to get challenged because it's not doing it under the airplane, the helicopter, all these other things.
I think the best way to deal with the Coriolis arguments is just literally to say, prove the Earth's turning first, and then we can argue about whether or not there's an apparent deflection or whether or not this or whether or not that. Because until you prove that the Earth's turning, it is a moot point.
But we're talking about models, actually. You know, flat earthers coming up with models like you saying that there's an ice wall and you believe there's an ice wall, which it might be.
Whoa. I didn't say that I believe there's an ice wall. Let's just clarify that. I said there's a logical and reasonable point where the sun can no longer prevent the water from turning into ice. I didn't say I believe that there was one. I just accept the possibility that there might be one.
Okay, that's fine. Same thing. I mean, I'm not saying
is it balls.
No, it's fine. I mean, I'm not. You're not coming out and showing every point where this ice wall connects to each other, making a full circle. You're not doing that. You're just saying it's a possibility.
Yeah.
You have an open mind. That's okay. I think that's okay to do those things because you're not making a claim.
Yeah.
I don't mean to poke the bear any further here, but does Jeranism still push a model, a globe, a flat Earth model?
I don't know.
I
don't think we need to push any models. I think all we need to do is point out that you can't have that pressure.
I never heard Jeran pushing models. I didn't.
Could be wrong there. Pretty sure it used to though. But anyway,
I could be wrong. But
doesn't matter anymore anyway.
I think Jaren is one of the other guys that is like truly, they actually are honest people.
Right, I'll clear that up
No.
straight
Yeah,
away.
yeah. Like I don't know. I can't agree with any of that because
I just want to
yeah,
clear that
even
up
like
in regards.
like, no.
Sorry to interrupt. I just want to clear that up before I round out the live show and ask the Nathan Oakley audience to stay tuned. So, in the regards to Jaren, I've heard him explicitly say that he would have preferred to have never declared he was a flat earther and just been in the position to deny the globe rather than declare anything in terms of his reality. And I've also heard him declare that he doesn't like to hold any beliefs. So I would, based on what I've heard him say explicitly, I would say that no, he definitely doesn't hold on to any beliefs in regards to models. Now, if I'm speaking out of turn, I'm sure he'll let me know, but I'm pretty confident in saying that.
And that's the best position we can take. You're better off making no claims, then you don't have to provide any evidence. Just say you can't have gas pressure without a container. You can't have gas pressure next to a vacuum without some kind of membrane, because we all know that that's true. But the minute you say the Earth might be flat, they're just going to come back and say, let's see your model. And that drives me mad.
Again,
like, what realistically can you expect me to present when I've got a P900 and a compass, right?
Right, and I agree with you 100%. But again, there are people who are just coming into this topic who need to have something else to look at or think about, because all they've had in their brain for their entire life is a spinning water ball in a vacuum. So some people need that extra, map or model or something, right? Just to give them some type of a different perspective.
Yeah, it's like a rehab drug.
Yeah, it's not to say that it's absolutely true. I've pulled out the DITRH app on people and it's shown them, how things could work. But the first thing I do when I do that is say, I'm not saying that this is how the world is or what it looks like. Absolutely. I'm saying this is an aspect that maybe it is what it is.
So if Arwen's saying that the globe model is crack, then the AA model is basically the methadone to the crack that is the globe model. And with that, I'm going to say, if you're watching this on Nathan Oakley premiering stream, then stay tuned as there will be an after show to follow. Unfortunately, if you're watching this live on Nathan Oakley 1980, this is where we bid you farewell. A huge, massive, enormous thank you to all of you. Smashed the super chat, liked, commented, shared, subscribed, and all that good stuff. Of course, a massive thank you to today's debating panel for making this live show possible. I've been Nathan Oakley. Stay tuned if you're watching on the Nathan Oakley premiering stream, and I'll see you all in the next video.
Oh, what a day! What a lovely day!
Like go ahead on methadone.
But that's how I see it. Some of these globals are like the neighborhood crackhead who won't go away. Keep telling them, get away from me with your ridiculous crack. And they're like, nah, man. Come on, man. I got this globe.
Do you know, I was talking to Roxanne, Roxanne Glenn, and I said to her, everything's fine until you start questioning gravity. When you start questioning gravity, what happens is, it's like, you imagine that you're walking down the street, you're minding your own business, it's a sunny day, you've got your sunshades on, you're listening to your Walkman and everything's fine. You mention gravity to a baller, and then the dark clouds roll in, it goes dark straight away, werewolves come out and zombies come out from the shadows, and all of a sudden you've got to start running. That's what it's like. Mention gravity and they just don't like it. It's like kryptonite.
Yeah, what gives gravity?
I can tell you why. It's because that's the only way they can explain how people on the other side of the ball don't fly away.
Yes, they glue for the holiday-centric model.
They need that force.
Maybe it's just a realization of the dissatisfaction of the answers they're actually getting. That it's like, oh, it's just gravity and not really a lot of further explanation. And maybe us confronting them with that is what they experience at such a moment. Like, yeah, it is kind of dissatisfying.
Well, that's what happens when you're defending something, and the people who actually are supposed to know about this subject, when they're asked about it, what is their response? Oh, I don't know. Next question.
I didn't grasp how important was it for them, but now when you talk about Coriolis, that's their explanation. If you talk about gas pressure, that's their explanation. If you talk about anything that challenged their model, that's their explanation. It's all over the
But
place.
it's gravity.
Gravity, yeah.
Gravity
It does always seem to be a part somewhere. That's true.
It's in everything. It pervades everything. And if you challenge their gravity, it pulls. I mean, you can't have tides without gravity, right? But that's what they tell us. And I'm like, well, gravity is not a force, as per Verlinder, as per Einstein, as per numerous Bloomfield, Julian Bloomfield. These are your scientists telling us that gravity is not a force. So what's causing tides? That remains unanswered. And they just gloss over it and just ignore it. And I'm like, it's a serious fucking question, dickheads. Answer the question. Do you just ignore it? It's like, what the fuck?
Causing tides. Where the planet, quote unquote, planet is here because of gravity. It's literally everything in this model is gravity.
Well, Anthony, you just quoted Dr. Verlinder, and he said, we've known that gravity isn't real. It's time to yell it, right? Is that pretty? Okay.
Yeah, for a while.
Right. So now, if you look at who we're talking to all the sheep, right? We're all the globe sheep. And they're onto this gravity with all the mesmerizing TV shows that show gravity and all that stuff, which is pseudo. Now, all of a sudden, we say to them, hey, your professors, your scientists, so-called scientists, your spokespersons, I just showed you their definition of gravity, and they're backing my claim, meaning a flat earther. So now the sheep are going crazy, meaning the globe sheep, because their teachers are stabbing them in the back with the correct definition what gravity isn't, and we're only quoting their shepherds. All of a sudden, they're in this quandary that, wait a minute, I thought gravity did all these things, and here Willinder says it's not. And there's Euclidean and Riemannian space, and it's 4D and 3D, and I didn't know that. I just thought gravity was holding the tides and everything. And so we're waking them up by quoting their false teachers. We're not making these sentences up. We're not making the paragraphs up. Willinder did. That's their guy.
Good morning.
Yeah.
Good morning, Kosho. You want to participate, Kosho?
I think you'll find
Conversation?
it's not stabbing them in the back, it's stabbing them in the eye, and I think the tool is a compass.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I think it's
let's not forget about Rumpus saying how it's very important for us to start telling the physicists that they can't tell people that gravity is not a force.
How dare they?
So, how dare they? Exactly.
Yeah. But I'd like to say, if they can't even understand gravity, how are they going to understand reality?
Doesn't that say a lot of them? Instead of saying, wow, I've been tricked this whole time, they're like, oh, we got to tell the teachers not to tell it this way. Right? Instead of thinking, I've been tricked this whole time.
Exactly.
Yeah, willful ignorance.
So that says a lot of that person, that they're like, they're actually not trying to learn anything. They're close-minded.
Yeah, that's why I don't lose any sleep not talking to somebody like Rumpus, because if he would say something like that, that means you're just straight full of shit. So you know it's not a force, but you, instead of acknowledging that, you're going to want to tell the people that are telling everybody else, your representatives, your priests, that they can't tell people that it's not a force.
Yeah,
you're full of shit, and I have no respect for you. I'm sorry.
For some reason, Fight the Flat Earth seems to be begging me at the minute to have a conversation with him. And I'm like, listen, dude, you're telling people that gravity is a force still. And your own fucking citation that you thought was going to support you said, gravity's not a force, but you can think of it as a force and all the things that were said. But for some reason, he's taking his words, trying to twist it as though it was supporting him. And I'm like, that is fundamentally dishonest. And he's like, no, because I believe it. That makes it not a lie. And I'm like, well, that makes it delusional, at least if it doesn't make it dishonest.
Yeah. Anthony, which side was ever going to show us the letter that Newton...
Anthony, you gave him gravity.
I'm in the middle of a sentence here. Can you wait? which side was going to show us
Hold
the
on.
letter from Newton? Oh my God.
Highlander is a Glover. Highlander is a Glover.
I'm on
Let us-
mute. I'm on
I
mute,
don't ca-
everyone.
I don't care if he's a Martian.
I'm on
He
mute.
should wait
I'm
his
on mute
turn.
too. Hey, QE, by the way.
Yeah, Highlander thinks there can only be one himself. Now, be quiet till I'm done, please. So that letter from Newton, and then what? 200 some years later, someone added something. Who was ever going to show that to us? When I went to school, Newton was the bomb, right? Newton this, Newton this, but Newton never said those things. We find out.
Yeah, it was spoken for him by C.V. Boyles.
It's just,
So
that's the same thing that happened to the guy that said the only explanation for some mistakes that they had on their model, it was that the stars had to be like so far away. And then after he died, they start claiming it, right? That's another thing that
Are
they
you
did.
talking about dark matter now? Dark
no,
matter?
he's talking about Galileo. Was it Galileo when he said, "Oh no, hang on"? Wasn't it? It was Kepler, Johannes Kepler, when he was. I think it was Kepler when he was arguing that the stars couldn't be as far away as what they were being projected to be, because that would mean them infinitely far away, and they adopted it because it covered a crack in their model.
Ah, okay.
There you go. That's what I was trying to say. Yeah, exactly.
It was either Kepler or Tycho Brahe.
No, it's Brahe.
So
It wasn't Kepler. It was Brahe. Sorry, I was waiting for that pause.
Right.
So it seems like all their information is just pushed on people that don't really want it.
I think there's also a massive hunger for the ballers to accept anybody on their model that's lying. You know, telling them the convenient lie. As long as somebody's telling them the convenient lie, they're happy. So it doesn't matter who it is. If somebody comes across and says, "Yeah, gravity's a force," they'll just go, "Yeah, give it to me. Let me suck
They
that
just
lie."
want story time. They want story time.
Yeah, that's what it is. Speaking of story, do you remember that guy Rory?
Yeah.
He's gone now, hasn't he? He's not even on the scene anymore. I think he was one of those guys that was touted, or maybe perhaps was put in place to see if he could infiltrate or whatever, and it didn't work because he was a bit of a Burke.
Why did he ever say anything? He ever do anything of substance?
Not of substance. He liked to try and pick fights with like Nathan or me or whoever.
From where? From way back in his wherever the hell he is?
In the last 6 months.
Oh.
Rory, his name was. He was on Countdown. Oh, you won't know. I don't think you'll know Countdown.
And with that, I'll say a huge, massive, enormous thank you to all of you who did join us on the Nathan Oakley premiering stream, for hopefully smashing the super chat, liking, commenting, sharing, subscribing, and all that good stuff. Be sure to check out nathanoakley.com and the Flat Earth Debate Forum to keep up to date with the community debate. Another massive thank you to all of today's debating panel for making this after show possible. I've been Nathan Oakley, and I'll see you all in the next video.
Oh, what a day! What a lovely day!